So right before we started recording, we had a small conversation, and I was like, "Gee, Mumbles, Bioshock Infinite. That's an interesting choice. Why would you want to cover that game? Well, what is it about that game that's so interesting?"
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me back to this stream. It's great being here. I was like, oh, we should totally do a cool game. And I was going through all of Camster's videos because Camster knows a lot about video games, I guess, because he talks about them a lot. Well, he just always is talking, right? So anyway, I watched the first 3 minutes of his Bioshock Infinite video, and it says this. I wrote it down. It says, it's got a lot to love. There's a lot to love in this game. He also said it's effective, genuine, and honest. So, I thought that's what I wrote down on my little notepad. So I thought maybe this is a good game.
I must be thinking of a different game.
Chris,
wow,
would you like to
really
address
cool.
this slander against you?
Look, 20
I'm back!
2013 was a very different time. I was a child.
Let's start the game.
Alright. Yeah, sure, whatever.
So this game just kind of like memory hold the
fairness.
entire Bioshock franchise, didn't it?
So,
yeah.
1999 mode is what we're gonna do. No, God, Jesus Christ.
What the fuck
God
is
fucking
1990? No. What is it though? What is it?
It's as difficult
System
as a
Shock
game from the
S?
90s, but without the mechanics of games from the 90s.
What about the tank controls? I don't.
Oh man, a tank control version of Bioshock Infinite will be what you would play people to punish them for like subjecting their teams to unnecessary crunch, which is to say any crunch.
So anyway, we were addressing Campster's lies.
Well, what I wanted to say was that what you have to remember was
What the fuck?
going. What is that? Going into
I got
this.
golden stuff.
Oh, you got
Do
the
we not have
DLC
subtitles?
bonuses.
I'm afraid of you.
I thought I turned
You have
subtitles
to remember
on.
that my video came out at a time where this game was getting 10 out of 10 reviews across the board, and we still had a bit of a gaming monoculture. Like, it's weird to think of this game as that old, but this was from a time where, like, every gaming publication giving it a 10 out of 10 was a big deal, and to say it wasn't good was actually heresy. And that is no longer the world we live in, but it was circa 2013.
Not standing, rowing.
Actually, that's not even. It's not fair to say that's not the world we live in, because reviewers still get shit all the time for not reviewing a game the right way. But it was certainly more the case then.
Right, I remember it was a big deal when like, was it Polygon that re-reviewed the game?
I don't remember.
Well,
Oh my god.
I think that's... Yeah, I think they did do that.
How much longer?
But I think that's also something that's interesting about this game is that initially everyone loved it, and then like Opinion just did a 180 a month after the game came out, and now it's remembered as this incredibly disappointing, like ill-conceived video game that destroyed. Is it Irrational Games that did this? I forget the name of the studio.
It was Irrational.
Yeah.
And they never
The
got to
other
make
thing-
Freedom Force 3.
Well, okay, so this comes out a year after Mass Effect 3 comes out, which was also a huge blow to the gaming world, right? Because it was considered one of the worst endings of any video game. And so then you have this other game that comes out that has a sequel that is like very anticipated, and for it to also be bad was probably like an emotional blow for a lot of people.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
So, hot take that maybe we'll get to at some point in the future, maybe not. The ending to this game actually rocks, and if this game was about the ending of this game, it would have been a good game.
You're
That's
more
why
or
the
less
DLC
right.
was
Yeah.
made. Like, the
Yeah.
DLC was created, which is good DLC, by the way, if anyone is interested. Like, it was created because the ending of this game opened up so many doors than 90% of the rest of the game.
They
think the
also
reason this
spent a
game is
lot
so-
of time in the DLC trying to fix a lot of the problems of this game. I don't think they were incredibly successful at it, but like they were very clearly like conscious of some of the worst decisions they made.
I think the thing about this game is that, like, the overwhelming thing about it is that it feels a lot like a good game.
Yeah.
Like, constantly, it feels like it's a good game. To the point where you're playing it and you're like, yeah, this is a good game. This has, like, the art's really good. The gameplay is good? It's good.
It's like going on a really expensive vacation. You
not
go on a
fix
really expensive vacation, and you're like, I'm supposed to be enjoying myself. This is supposed to be good. A lot of work went into this. It's like it cost a lot of money. This is cutting edge. I should be having a good time. And I think that's like what people thought at first, and then they're like, wait a sec.
Wait, there's just a reality that no, actually, it's not. Like, it starts to creep up on you as you keep playing it. Like, I actually am really dreading the next fight because the fights aren't fun and they're all the same and there's too many of them.
Right.
I'm like the writing like seems cool at points and like the voice actors are really selling it, but then like you have 3 conversations that are all like right next to each other and kind of contradictory in tone and like meaning. And then the plot starts happening, and it like suddenly the game doesn't really seem to matter anymore, and like the stakes are weird, and the message is messy.
So who killed this guy?
The twins, right?
That's I think the implication, but did they?
No. I mean, if they did, does it matter if they did or did not? Are they capable of only doing one thing without also doing the other?
So that's kind of like, well, this is kind of hitting on the point here, which is that like this stuff seems really cool and intriguing, and then there's not like a aching amount of substance behind it at the end of the day.
This is what kills me about this game, and what we should think about while we're watching Josh play it is that this game could have been a video game that's about not having a choice. It could have been like a AAA version of Stanley Parable, of like, you're playing a video game. I know you're playing a video game. You have no choice. You have to do exactly what I say. And unfortunately, they just couldn't do that right because they weren't on that level.
And imagine that tying into the actual end of the game, where like, because the whole end of the game is basically Ken Levine bitching about the fact that he doesn't want to make this sequel. That there's always a damn lighthouse. It's always going to be fucking Rapture. I'm sick of making this game over and over again. And we've gone, because the game has gone through so many, we'll get to all of this, but the game has gone through so many reiterations at this point that like, I think he was absolutely sick of the whole franchise, and especially this game, and tying that to the theme of like a guy that cannot escape his destiny and is doomed to it. Like, that could have been really cool,
It
and it doesn't really, it can't get there.
Right.
I'm sort of like, I'm trying to like keep myself grounded in what's happening now, like because like you guys have a lot of interesting thoughts on the ending and I don't have as many. This one thing I do want to talk about, and we'll doubtlessly talk about while we cover this game, is that like this game looks really cool for the most part.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. No, the game is beautiful.
It's like,
a little dated
and
now,
I think,
but yeah.
I think that ties into why it was so well received critically. Is like the game's art style is legitimately really good and compelling, and it very much is like really akin to running around Disneyland in the sky. And in that, the game is successful, and you know, it kind of takes some thinking to figure out why you don't like this game, and like all the initial surface stuff is like, oh, this game is awesome. So I think that contributed to the early praise the game got. And then everybody had time to think about what was really going on. It was like, oh, actually,
Most people consumed this game very quickly as well. So if you think about it, like, it's not like a Mass Effect, well, not the first Mass Effect, but not like a Mass Effect 2, where it takes you a long time to get through that game because you want to enjoy every step of it. This game you probably finished in a fucking weekend. And so it's kind of hard to be critical when it's something so pretty and flashy and in your face and constantly engaging you, and then being like, oh, I guess I had an okay time.
This is really cool. just like this right here. This is a very excellent evocation of like kind of evangelical American art.
This is also
I've
something
never
that's
really
very
seen anything
bizarre
like
to me
this
about
in a
this
video game
game.
before.
Yeah.
Like, and this is kind of jumping ahead a bit, but let's just say this game's politics are atrocious, and it is very bizarre to me that like they identify Christian fundamentalists, like evangelical art and social ideas very, very keenly, and paint these as not a good thing, but then the rest of their politics for the game is just like, better than the alternative though, ain't it? It's like...
See, the weird thing is like, with this game, I came away feeling like they actually had no stance. Like, for me, the ending felt like there is no actual stance at all. It was just sort of like, we kind of like the aesthetic of this stuff, but also sometimes it can be bad. I don't know. Anyway, that's really what it felt like.
We're not yet sure what parts of this game we're going to be covering, if it's going to be all of it, or just parts of it, or like, even just like, a couple weeks. But
there's some
like,
troubling stuff.
Yeah, and some stuff that's like probably we're not even like. Well,
anyway,
the short version is this really a lot of the politics of this game with like what happens in its events and how characters react to it and how they're portrayed, because that's more important. Like, facts are one thing, but like how you experience those facts is kind of the judgment of those facts by the game, in a way. Not like in a necessarily a one-to-one way, but like how a game portrays events is very telling of like how it feels about those events, just because like it's very telling about like how the creators process this information and what parts of it they want to show. And a lot of this game's story feels like someone had the history of Haiti read to them, and they just kind of said, "Oh, that sucks," every 2 minutes.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good way of putting it. I did not make that connection before, but yeah.
Wow.
As someone who is a little too obsessed with like immersive sims, one thing I do kind of like, given that this is Irrational, who did make a lot of the early sims, is the intro that we were just looking at that was so beautiful with all the gears and stuff and the light pouring through and all the sort of evangelical terminology there. I like it as a comparison point to the Hammerites. You know, the industrial / religious side of things. This is not a immersive sim.
Why are there no subtitles?
That's really weird that there's no subtitles for the audio log.
What the fuck?
There has to be.
Dialogue subtitles.
Why would it be in a different menu? But then again, why wouldn't it? Because subtitles are the puzzle box of accessibility features.
One of the other reasons why...
Okay. I've already got that on.
One of the reasons why...
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, anyway. The other reasons why this game really stuck out to me, and I still think about it once in a while, is because... So I was raised very Irish Catholic, like very, very, very Irish Catholic, and it's different from this religion. And so to be able to delve into a religion that is so different, but speaks almost the same language, it was really interesting to me. Because if this game was about Catholicism, it would have a totally different impact on me. But it gave me the chance to see religion the way that people probably see Catholicism from the outside, who aren't raised that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Also, Josh, can you hold up for a second? So,
sure.
One thing we're going to talk about, throw around a lot, is Disneyland. And it occurs to me people might not necessarily make the connection here, especially if you've never been to Disneyland, because there's some obvious, like, superficial similarities where Disneyland has kind of these areas that are amalgamations of Americana. But, like, more than that, the aesthetic that Disneyland commits to in all of its rides and stuff is kind of like a hyper-real thing. Like, spaces that aren't real, but like feel more real than real because they're like exaggerations of all of these qualities which exist in place. This is especially true with the rides where like you pass through an area that's like oh, this doesn't really feel like an actual, like if this is too cartoonish to be like an actual port in the Caribbean, but because it's like so loaded with... Yeah, but like it feels like it because you've got all of these elements coming to it. So it's like this area is like baptism land. This is like baptism the ride. It's like you're passing through this. You know, there's like water flooding the whole place, running down the steps. This place would obviously like there's all these candles lit, which like obviously this place cannot be real. You would not. You cannot have some guy like putting in like 20,000 fresh candles every single day and lighting each of them individually. You can't just have standing water flooding through all of this stone and stuff.
Yeah,
and obviously
hell, even
you can't
these
have all
stairs, people would die going down these stairs. Like,
and obviously, like, you can't have a city that you only enter like one at a time through a weird sky chair, and of course you can't have a floating fucking city. But that doesn't matter because like it's committing to all of this very strongly.
Yeah. It's very, as uncommitted it is to its politics, it is very earnest. I found this game, like, it's so
genuine.
in your face. And yeah, exactly, it really is.
yeah.
Do not throw my words.
Honestly.
back at me.
Well, okay, so one thing Camster did say about this game is look out for signs of the next area you're going to be in. Just like if you went to Disneyland, it would say Frontierland. This game does the same thing. So if you go into a new area, it'll say like Swamp Dog. That was a bad one. Dank Docks. Dank Donks are ahead.
The weird 1950s party beach.
Party Beach.
So
Ragtime,
the
good
baptism.
time.
Yeah.
This was a controversy. A minor controversy. Okay, maybe not a minor controversy, but I still remember vividly that Kotaku article about people that were uncomfortable with the idea of being baptized, being forced to be baptized in a game that did not want to be baptized because the line between the virtual and the real, the line between the magic circle and not the magic circle can be blurred.
I think that what you have to say is that if this is a story about the character of Booker DeWitt, like his baptism is a huge part of it.
And also it allows you to nope out really fast. So if you are uncomfortable with feeling like you're being actually baptized, get the fuck out of this game.
I have a feeling that I have a feeling that if that is actually a sticking point, then genuinely this is one you're gonna want to refund.
Yeah, just fucking leave, refund it on Steam, go home, and just don't play the rest of the game. I think in that sense it's nice that it tells you, like up front, this is what the game is about. Please leave.
And here we're going into the American exceptionalism part of it.
Yeah, this is where the game gets
Franklin.
It gets hard to look at some of this in the wake of 2016.
Yeah, wait a minute.
On. Like this is no longer cute. This is outright fascist imagery that has been used
I mean,
in this country.
The thing with my experience with this game is I this is like 2013. I was really bothered by the politics in this game, but I didn't really have the words to articulate why I was bothered by them. Whereas now, definitely understand. You know, it kind of prefigures a lot of
what
really relevant stuff that's cropped up.
What is Jefferson holding? Real quick, what is Jefferson holding? What is that?
Not Jefferson.
The Declaration of Independence, probably.
It looks like a fucking like a pest control thing, where they
come got an Elder Scroll.
I was going to say it looks like he's about to super soak us. I mean, like that's the thing. Like this, I definitely liked this because it is uncomfortable. Like it is like weird and alienating. Like what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Like by taking
but they take it too far.
It's hard to exaggerate like American patriotism in a way that feels like scary and not just funny, because like it's already kind of a parody of itself in a lot of areas.
Yeah.
And I think this game does a pretty good job of that part. It's the fact that it does that and how it uses that to deal with other issues that I think is where it kind of stumbles and falls.
Right. Like the problem isn't the because that's clearly intentional, right? The creepy ass imagery of the founding fathers standing lording over you in their weird perfect Greek poses, Greek bodies when we know
specifically
we know
using Greek iconography to like create
Yeah.
a line of continuity through like Western civilization.
Where it becomes a problem is it becomes clear as you play this game that it, even though it's tapping into a very real and recently used form of fascism, it doesn't really have that much to say about it other than this sucks, but then so do some other ideologies, and like, yikes and a half.
And this was like a weird indie game, and all it sort of did was like portray a weird like fascist Sky America where you stab a bunch of Sky America fascists, like, and it was like 4 hours long. That wouldn't be like that noteworthy, but this game like does so much and it's so long.
There is a really cool horror game hidden here in this. Like, screw the dimension hopping, screw everything else. You arrive on Columbia, and it's this weird, like, Stepford Wives perfect reality that is too perfect, and there's some deeply uncomfortable crap going on. And I kind of want to play that game.
Areas. Well, like, there's areas that had that potential, like the Crows, their whole, like, cult area was fucking rad. Once we get there, it's like a whole library of scariness. And then, of course, Ghostwife. Fucking Ghostwife.
I keep
forgot about Ghostwife.
People tell me that Ghostwife was there.
I forgot about that
until
y'all brought it up like last week when we were talking about doing this game, and I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about, Ghostwife?" I was like, "Oh yeah, that's actually a thing in this game." Oh man, this game.
That boss fight, I don't care what anyone says. That boss fight fucking rocked. It was awesome.
I remember Ghostwife exists. It disappears from my memory every time we're not talking about it, but it does reemerge.
That's how Ghostwife operates. She's there in the back.
Like it.